Hello, this is Kevin McCain with Idaho Art Classes and Kevin McCain Studios. So this is for the drawing class, the first drawing class, or beginning drawing 1, session 2. And we're going to be talking about value and creating different types of value. So we're going to be using a couple different handholds. I'm a left-handed person, so we're going to be using what we call a baton handhold, where you hold it between your thumb and your fingers like so, and your fingers are then pointed downward towards the paper. For you right-handed folk, it looks like that. You know, between your thumb and your fingers. Usually I'll have just my 2 fingers and my thumb when I hold it, but you can certainly have all of your fingers on there. I don't know if I can get my hand to turn correctly, but you can hold it like that, or you can hold it like this. So again, you can either hold it like this or like that. The other handhold we're going to be using is what's called a tripod grip. Now with the tripod grip, it's basically you hold it between your index finger and your thumb, and it sits on your middle finger like so. Okay, that's a baton handhold. Okay, for you right-handed folk, once again, that baton handhold, let's see if we can pull this away, that baton handhold looks like that, right? Again, it's being held between my thumb and my first finger sitting on my middle finger. That's a baton handhold. Okay, for the right hand, since I'm a lefty, I'll be holding it over here like so, between my index finger and my thumb, sitting on my third finger. Okay, so this will be for what we call a finger swing, and then the other time we're going to be using a baton handhold. So the first thing is we're going to talk about a couple different types of swings to make value. All I'm going to do is I'm going to let this pencil sit on the paper. Now, this can be a little bit easier if you're on like a drafting table, because gravity is holding it on there. I've actually got this on the vertical, it's standing straight up, so it's a little different. But I'm actually, I'm going to turn this over so I can actually feel my fingers hit the paper. But I'm going to be using what's called I'm going to be using an elbow swing. So I'm going to swing my whole arm, my whole elbow, and I'm using a very light handhold. And I'm overlapping each line as I'm making this value. And I'm not trying to vary the pressure, I'm just very, very lightly, very, very gently using my elbow as I make this little bit of value. Okay. Now I can do this with any pencil. You've got your HB pencil, your 2H, your 4H, your 4B, any one of these will work. Just whatever you're using, you're going to be using this. I'm swinging through the elbow. Okay. And what you use this for is to cover a large area very quickly. As you can imagine, it's very easy to cover large areas with this elbow swing. Now we do want to try to make this as uniform as possible. All right. We don't want that. We don't want little lines between everything, like so. Maybe we need to just zoom in a little bit, but we don't want big lines in between there. So we're going to overlap our previous lines so that we get as uniform the value as we possibly can. Now you're going to try to do this elbow swing with all your different pencils, your 2H, your 4H, your HB, 2B, 4B. They're all going to look a little different, and you're going to want to learn to control them. So that's the first thing, is learn to control the elbow swing, okay? Now, there's other times I'm using just a wrist swing. Okay? Again, I'm using that baton handhold, and I'm just swinging my wrist back and forth. Now again, this is a baton handhold, and this time I've got my fingers pointed down towards the paper. The only reason I was doing this with my elbow swing is I get a little bit more control by dragging my fingernails on the back of the paper with that elbow swing. I have a little more control with the wrist swing already, so I don't worry about it as much. But again, we're just using the wrist. Now, I'm doing that pretty quick, and most of this is used for what we call a rough-in. So we do it for large areas, that we want to cover with a value very, very as quickly as we can. We still want to take enough time that we're getting it fairly uniform. We don't want, again, big spaces and big lines in between stuff, so forth and so on. And what I want you to do is I want you to take Now with this, I wanted you to take every one of your pencils and make a chunk of value that's at least 10 inches long, or in this case 10 inches high, and that's at least 1.5 inches to 1 inch deep. And of course, it would take me some time to do that. Something about right there. For this wrist swing, I want you to go through all your pencils and do a chunk with every one of your different pencils. Except this one, I want it to be about 3 inches wide and to 2.5 inches wide, and I want it to be almost 2.5 to 3 inches deep. Each pencil you work with, and again you're gonna overlap the previous line. Now again, this one went a little darker, and there's a little space in between it. If that happens, immediately stop what you're doing and go in there and fill it in. I've also got a little bit of lighter line here. Again, I'd want to fill that in. You want to get used to doing what's called tracking. So if you have a little shape, like there's a little bit of a little bit lighter through here, we'd want to you want to be able to, it's a little lighter through here, it's a little lighter through here, but darker through there. You want to be able to see that, and then not just see it, but go ahead and be able to have enough control to go ahead and fill that in with value. So you're going to do 6 of these with both your 4H, or not both, but with all your pencils, your 4H, your 2H, your HB, your 2B, your 4B. You want to go ahead and create these chunks of value. All right. So we're going to come back in a minute, and I'm going to show you how to do a finger swing. All right. All right. So now we're going to do a finger swing. Now this is just for the finger swing. Again, we're still holding it between that tripod grip. Now we're holding it between the thumb. First finger sits on the middle finger. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and, first off, we're going to kind of open our fingers a little bit, and then we're going to move our thumb out of the way. So with our thumb like here, we can't swing our fingers too far. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to sit your palm on the paper, not move your palm. You're going to only want to move your fingers. But if I've got my thumb over here, I can't move my fingers very far. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my thumb back, and that will allow, so I still have a hold of it. It's not going anywhere. But I just move my thumb back out of the way, so now my fingers can move a little bit more. And with this, we're going to put our hand on the paper, and we're just going to scoot the pencil back and forth. This is called a finger swing. Now we're going to learn a type of finger swing where we'll do what's called a gradated stroke. Some people will call it a feathered stroke or a soft stroke. But this is just as simple as it gets. We're just swinging with the fingers, and we're just moving it back and forth, okay, to make a value. Now this, again, I'm trying to make an even tone. We don't want it any bigger than about 1.5 inches wide, 1 3/4 inches, maybe 2 inches tops. And we're just going to try to make it as uniform as possible. And you're going to try to do a chunk that's at least 2.5 inches wide, 2.5 inches this way. Still got a little ways to go, but this is, with this, we want you to do, again, every single pencil. Try to get used to that finger swing, okay? So we're about 2 inches right now. So just went the extra mile. There's 2.5. So again, I want you to go ahead and do this with each and every pencil. All we're doing is we're putting our hand on the paper, and we're swinging the pencil back, and we're just scooting it back and forth. We're not even swinging it, we're just literally moving it back and forth with our fingers. Okay. Now to do a gradation, so I want you to do just the solid, these are solid, we're not trying to do gradations. For gradations, let's say I was doing the elbow swing, which is a little more difficult. To do a gradation, we're going to go ahead and let it build up until it gets to the darkest part. And then we're going to go ahead and come away from there with a little, so we're going to start with that. A little harder to do with the elbow, but the elbow's usually we'll do just even tones because it's a little harder to control. But then what we'll do is we'll come out as far as we can with just an even tone, with the lightest tone we can, least amount of pressure, okay, like so. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start at the darkest part again, and we'll come out about halfway, about to here. So we'll come out about halfway. And graphite builds on itself, so it's going to be a little darker halfway out. And then we're going to come over here and start, and we're going to try to come about a quarter of the way to about there. So we're going to start at the darkest part, and we're just going to come out a little ways, like so. And then we're going to stay right next to the, hardly come out, like an eighth, like don't hardly come out at all, like so. And we still didn't feel like we got a value yet. So then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go over the whole thing one last time. And now we've got a soft gradation. Well, it's not super soft. We got a basic gradation. With a wrist swing, it's a little easier, but it's the same concept. We're just going to go ahead and sit there until that builds up. And I'm not putting a lot of pressure on this. I'm using light pressure. Instead of pushing on it really hard, I'm using light pressure. But I'm just going over and over and over until it gets dark. And then again, we'd come away from there. I'm moving a little fast, but we just move away from here to make a little bit of the lightest value that we can, like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come out again halfway, right? And so we'll go ahead and get in here. We'll come out about halfway. Didn't quite make it. Hold on. Alright, and then we're going to come out a quarter of the way, like to about there. So we're going to come out just a quarter of the way. And then we're going to come out just an eighth, which is again just almost right next to the line. We're going to do that. Okay. And then we're going to put a tone or a value over the entire area to pull it together. And again, we start to have a gradation. Okay. I didn't finish this out, so it needs to come all the way out here. And again, now we've got a gradation from dark to light. So the finger swing is the easiest to control. Again, we're going to go ahead, if we did this, and maybe we need to zoom in a little bit for this to see where it's at. So maybe we'll do it right here. But again, we're going to do the finger swing, so we're just going to move it back and forth. We're going to let it build it up to the darkest part, like so. And then we're going to come away from there with the lightest value that we can. Okay. Like about so. Then we're going to come out halfway. Now the finger swing, we're going to have the most control. So this is the one where we do a lot of our finished, our nice finished values, where we're really trying to control it and get all the nuance and the details. So we came out half as far, then we're going to come out a quarter of the way, which is about from here to there, quarter of the way. Okay, and then we're going to come out an eighth of the way. Alright, so we just come out just a little bit, like so. And then we're going to put a value over the whole thing. So we're going to put a value over this whole area. And again, I have a nice gradation. So I want you to try gradations with all your pencils. Your 2H, your 4H, your HB, your 2B, your 4B. Get to know your pencils. But you'll really have some nice chunks of value after this exercise. Alright, so I want you to go ahead and warm up doing that. Kind of get used to making flat values, flat tones with an elbow swing, a wrist swing, and a finger swing. And then do gradations. And do gradations with an elbow swing, a wrist swing, and a finger swing. Again, the elbow swing, I don't do as many gradations with it because the elbow swing is all you can do hardly to get nice even tone. So usually you're using, this was my wrist swing, this was my finger swing. Those are going to be the ones where you're going to have a little more control over it. They're a little smaller, they're a little easier to keep under control as you're making them and stuff. But go ahead and give this a shot. Again, this has been Kevin McCain with Kevin McCain Studios and Idaho Art Classes. Go ahead and explore your values, and then we'll talk about taking these values and drawing stuff like spheres and cones and cubes and all that good stuff. All right, take care now. Be creative. Bye-bye.